Oh, what's up, guys? So I'm out here at a kind of a little neat spot, and it's great camping weather. The leaves are changing and falling. It's really cool out right now, but it's also getting very cold. It was well below freezing last night. I give you a weather check now. It is currently 32 degrees. Feels like 25. So it is starting to get very cold, and so it is starting to be that time of year where you need to think about how you're going to stay warm in the back of your truck camper. So anyways, guys, I just wanted to go over the things that I do to keep warm in the back of my truck here. I've got a few different things that I do for when I stay overnight in a setup like this. So I do have the carpet here, and then the whole thing has a headliner on it. So those are a couple of basic things, and then obviously it has single pane windows, so you need to use something to keep those warm, to help against the heat transfer. So a couple things that I do is, for starters, I have these curtains up, and I'll link a couple videos on how I installed the curtains down here. But those help. Those are like a blackout curtain. The side curtains are doubled over on the curtain rod, so there's a little bit more than there is on the front and rear. But then for a second layer on the windows, what I do is I put on Reflectix. So I've got pieces of Reflectix insulation cut to fit all the windows. The front and rear windows attach with little Velcro panels on them, and then I have Velcro on the windows themselves, and the side windows just slide in behind the curtains. And I usually don't use this stuff in the summer. I know that some people do. I don't need to use it like for blackout purposes because my curtains are so dark, and they cover everything up. So I don't leave this stuff in here year round, and I just have it rolled up nicely. And then when I have it in here, I usually have it installed, or I'll have it like stuck under my mattress, laid flat, and that usually works. And there's a train coming by. People and trains, those people that drove up, sat there and looked at me for a little bit, just backed up and turned around. So it was only slightly awkward. I figured down here I wouldn't be bothered by anyone. Okay, so we've got the window Reflectix, and I can go ahead and put some of that on. Once again, I'll link a video down in the description when I did that. But then as far as regular heat, so I have two different heaters, and I'll get those out, I guess. So these, let me get back down here. So the two different heaters that are used are, I have a small Mr. Buddy heater. These come in a few different sizes. Typically you run them off of these little 1 pound propane bottles, but you can also get an adapter and run these to a bigger tank if that's something that you'd like to do in the back of the truck. That's not necessary, but I will run this if I don't have electricity or anything like that. These do have a low oxygen shutoff, so if the oxygen gets too low, it will shut off. But if I run this, I don't run it like nonstop. I'll run it for 15-20 minutes or something like that, just to warm it up, and it will heat it up quite a bit back here. But other than that, when you're running something like this, I would highly recommend that you keep a window cracked, because obviously you're burning something in the back there. And one of the issues you run into when you run something like this is that if you run it for long periods of time, etc., you're going to get a lot of moisture buildup inside like this. So that's something that you need to consider. And then for the second source of heat that I have a small plug-in heater, and this is a Holmes brand heater. It's just some cheap heater. You can buy stuff like this at Walmart or any of the big box stores right now. And this one has a few different settings, but it also has a thermostat. So if you have camp power, or if you're somewhere where you can plug this in, I have an extension cord. You just plug this in if you're at a campsite or wherever that has power, and then you can run it on high or low. You can set it to a few different specified degrees on this thermostat, and then it'll just kick on and off. So something small like this is great. You can get smaller ones, bigger ones, whatever you wanted to do, but this one keeps it warm in here with the insulation that I have. So to add a little bit more on the insulation of the back of the truck, that train is just going forever. I should have probably stopped. I'm sure that sounds amazing. I have a little bit of weather stripping on the tailgate sides. That's old, and it's kind of fallen off. I should probably redo that. There's a couple of little pieces on the tailgate itself, and that just helps seal that gap right there. I don't think I have weather stripping down here. I think that piece fell off, but the carpet, if you can see, the carpet is one continuous piece, so that really helps in that spot right there. And the bottom does have some padding on it, so that helps, but that goes all the way around. And then my truck is a 2009 Silverado, and I don't know what other trucks are going to have spots like this, but I also have some foam insulation shoved in some spots, and I'll take the camera off the tripod now and I'll show you those. So here's some of the weather stripping I have. There's a piece there, and then there's a little piece right here, and when you close it up, you get a pretty good closed gap. There is a little bit of an air hole here, and I could put some more weather stripping here to kind of seal that up, but I don't really worry about that, mostly because having a little bit of air gap and airflow in here is not a bad thing. So we'll hop inside of here, and it's going to be easiest for me to show you on this side. So on this Silverado, I'll go ahead and take this down a little bit. We have the carpet here, and this carpet is just Velcroed in. There's a bunch of Velcro spots. I'll go ahead and pull it off quite a bit. Okay, so there's little holes everywhere. I kind of secured some of the small holes with, this is foil tape, so you get a little bit less airflow there. And there's some gaps here, but then right here you can see there's a big foam block. And this was a kit. If I can find it online, I'll link it, but you just need some foam blocks. There's one there at the back, there's one there, there's one on that side, and there's also one up front, at the front of the bed. And if you don't have something like this, this whole area is open to the outside, straight down to the wheel well, and it's all open to the airflow to the ground. So you will get a lot of air coming up in there. That is also incredibly helpful to keep the dust out of the back here. And that's done on both sides of the bed. There is one in the front. There's nothing on the front end of the truck here, but on the front, there are some little gaps and some more holes like this that I also covered with foil tape. So take the time to do that. Those little spots like that. Let me get this pushed back in here. That just Velcros back in place. We'll get this hung up. It's cold in here, guys. I need to tighten that one down. See, I got some warm socks in here. And then obviously I've got a sleeping bag, which I couldn't tell you what the degree is on this one. It's some random Coleman sleeping bag from Walmart, but it is plenty of warm enough. I also have another blanket. There's a sheet stuffed in there, and then I'll usually sleep in like pajama pants and a hoodie. So just with all of that, you can typically stay warm in here. If you have everything covered on the windows, I mean, you are creating some body heat. But even if you're not running any heat in here, with it closed up, you will see some condensation on the windows. With this, I don't really have to worry about it too much on the ceiling or anything like that. But like even right now, this is warm to the touch. So you're not getting a lot of heat transfer out through this, but the windows are freezing because they're all single pane, so that's why you need to cover those up. And I'll go ahead and shove a piece of Reflectix in there, so you guys, I'll do this back window and that window so you guys can kind of see how that works. So just rolled up. This would be the back window. This would be the cab window. So you can see it's just got a few pieces of Velcro on the back of it. And then we'll just grab the side pieces are the same. There's no Velcro or anything on them. And they're cut square, so there's not too much to worry about. And this just slides in back behind this. And I'm probably going to cut these in half, but it's just easier to have less pieces, you know. And that is just secured like that, and then I'll usually close the blinds. And there you go, you've got another layer of insulation on your windows there. And it gets pretty dark in here. Hopefully you guys can see me. So those windows are all closed up. That's open. And on the outside, depending on how the light's hitting it, you can see it a bit. But there is also option. Some people paint those black. I've never seen a need for it personally for the type of camping that I do. But between all of this stuff and that, you can usually stay pretty warm back there. So yeah, you can usually stay fairly warm back here. I mean, obviously always have different layers of clothing with you if you're gonna do something like this, especially if you don't have camp power or anywhere to plug into. But it stays pretty cozy back there. I slept in this thing well below freezing, and I'm going to be sleeping in it well below freezing a lot this winter. We're heading into the winter season. Like I said, we're actually supposed to get some snow, I think, tomorrow. So I think I'm going to head out and try to chase that storm and see if I can find a cool spot to camp in there. But there are also some other options for heat in the back of your truck like this, depending on what power options that you have. Something that I've been looking into and that I've been hearing a lot of people using are 12-volt heated blankets. So you can just plug that into 12-volt power. Now I have a small battery box. I guess I can grab that. Here's my little battery box here. And this is just something I made. There's plenty of different stuff like this on the market if you're looking for this style. There's a local company called Icehole Power, and I guess I'll link them down in the description, but they make a lot of stuff like this. This is just something I put together myself, but it just has a small, you've got a USB outlet on the top, a 12-volt plug, and a couple of lights, and a voltmeter. I also have a video about this that I could link, but this just runs off a small battery in here. There you go. That just runs off a small 12-volt battery, like what you would use to power a I don't know, I used it for a fish finder for ice fishing season, but that's just a small battery. And if you had a larger battery unit, there's a lot of different stuff on the market. Gold Zero, Blue Eddy, there's a bunch of different options on the market for battery boxes like this. And if I had something with a bigger battery, I would probably get myself a 12-volt blanket. I wouldn't plug that into my truck and run it very long without the truck running, but depending on your battery setup, that is probably a very, very good option. So that's something that I'm looking into. And then, you know, obviously you could run that if you're plugged in somewhere or whatever, if you wanted to do it that way. But if you wanted to get just a blanket with a regular plug on it, but I'm thinking having a 12-volt heated blanket would be probably a better option. So that's something I'm looking at, and I guess that's about it, guys. If you have any suggestions on what to do to keep it warmer back here, or different types of heaters that you guys use, I guess let me know for sure. I'm always looking for different options, better options, but I guess the basics would be seal your bed, some sort of carpet, And if you can get a headliner, I mean, you could do that yourself, but to insulate your cap, depending on what type of cap it is. And then window coverings. You don't need curtains. You can just get away with the Reflectix if you wanted to do that, but the double layer is very nice. So anyways, guys, I'm gonna head out and do some camping, so I will see you in the next adventure. Stay tuned.